They are at home to Blackpool, playoff semi-finalists. Portsmouth face Shrewsbury. Sunderland at home to Bristol Rovers. And League Two champions take on Rochdale. Now let's get into League Two, shall we? And how about this? Harrogate's first ever Football League fixture will be at Southend. We're going to be live at Harrogate later this morning. Now, Barrow haven't been in the league for 48 years, and they're going to start at home to Stevenage. Elsewhere, Bolton are up against Forest Green. Bradford take on Colchester. Cambridge host Carlisle, and Cheltenham take on Morecambe. We've got Mansfield hosting Tranmere on the opening day as well. Over this side, Leyton Orient, they go to Oldham. It's Port Vale against Crawley. Salford hosts Exeter. Scunthorpe take on Newport. Walsall are at home to Grimsby. Now, all three leagues start the weekend of September the 12th.
Did you get all that? Don't worry, all of the new season's fixtures are available on our website, skysports.com, as well as the Sky Sports app. So whichever club you support, your fixtures will definitely be there. OK, let's get to some more Championship fixtures then. We're going to start with Watford. After being relegated from the Premier League last season, their first 6 matches are against Middlesbrough, Sheffield Wednesday, and then it's a big one against local rivals Luton. That's at home on the 26th of September. They then travel to Reading and Derby, and then Blackburn. Bournemouth, they start against Blackburn. Their opening 6 games include matchups against Middlesbrough, Norwich, Coventry, QPR, and then Cardiff away. Daniel Farke leads Norwich into the new season, and the first few games, if you have a look at this, could be pretty testing. They start at Huddersfield, then they face Preston before a trip to Bournemouth. It's then Derby and Wayne Rooney to kickstart the October games, and then Rotherham and Birmingham. Brentford came so close to promotion, didn't they? Well, they will have to wait until game week 2 for the first match at their new stadium. So their opening match is against Birmingham away before that first game at the new Brentford Community Stadium. It's against Huddersfield on the 19th of September. They also take on Millwall, Preston, Coventry and Sheffield Wednesday in their first 6 matches. So after 116 years at Griffin Park, Brentford's first home game at their new stadium, as I say, is against Huddersfield on the 19th of September. Put that date in your diary. To one of the stories of last season, and Wycombe fans, are you ready for this? Your first match in the second tier of English football is against Rotherham at home. And then it's a trip to manager Gareth Ainsworth's town of birth, Blackburn, before games against Swansea, Luton, Millwall and Reading. And we will be speaking to Gareth Ainsworth later this morning. Coventry are back in the second tier, and they start at Bristol City, and then they're going to be playing at St Andrews this season after failing to reach an agreement to play at the Ricoh Arena. Their first game there is against QPR. They then take on Barnsley, Bournemouth, Brentford and Swansea. Let's have a look at some other key dates then with Rob.
Yep, let's have a look at them. We're still pouring through those fixtures. We're going to bring you some of the highlights as far as your team is concerned. But let's see where they are on one of the standout days of the season. That is Boxing Day. Now, at Vicarage Road, down there is a battle between 2 relegated clubs as Watford face Norwich. Bournemouth will be at home to Millwall on Boxing Day. There's a Yorkshire derby as Barnsley face Huddersfield. Blackburn take on Sheffield Wednesday, while Wycombe travel to Bristol City. 2 of the teams to miss out in the playoffs, Cardiff and Brentford, will meet in South Wales, and Coventry take on Stoke. Derby hosts Preston. Neil Warnock's Middlesbrough faces former club Rotherham, while Aita Karanka will return to Nottingham Forest with QPR. Birmingham, I should say. It's QPR against Swansea, and Reading take on Luton. League One, the standout Boxing Day game. Well, that is there. It's at the Stadium of Light. 3 years ago, Sunderland against Hull. That was a Premier League game. Now they meet in League One. Elsewhere, Charlton face Plymouth. Promoted Northampton travel to Ipswich, while Swindon go to Portsmouth, and Wigan down there face Shrewsbury. Into League Two, Boxing Day means travel for both the newly promoted teams because Harrogate, up the top right there, go to Oldham and Barrow face Port Vale as well. Other games to look out for, how about this one? Bolton take on Carlisle, Cheltenham face Stevenage, it's Crawley against Newport, Exeter against Forest Green, Ian Holloway's Grimsby go to Morecambe. Salford host Walsall. Scunthorpe take on Mansfield. Southend face Colchester. And it is Tranmere against Bradford.
So, what will be at stake on the final day of the season? Well, Barnsley had final day drama to stay up at the end of last season. Could there be more when they face Norwich? Blackburn take on Birmingham, while Bournemouth will face Stoke. It's Bristol City against Brentford and Cardiff against Rotherham. Coventry take on Millwall. Derby face Sheffield Wednesday. Wycombe will go to Middlesbrough for the first time ever in the league. Nottingham Forest will hope for a better final day against Preston. Reading face Huddersfield and Watford take on Swansea.
OK, so that's the final day in the Championship. We've still got the Boxing Day fixtures in there, but let's have a look at League One, the final day. Two relegated sides go head-to-head on the final day. That's the Championship as well. Just a little brief reminder of what they've got on the final day. I wonder what Derby will have on that as well when they get to that. But here we are, League One. Right, OK, Charlton facing Hull. We've got Northampton's only win at Sunderland. That was back in 1963. They'll have to repeat that, will they? On the final day, you wonder. Wigan and Swindon were 2 leagues apart last season. They're going to meet down there on the final day. And what about League Two? Let's have a little look at that. Final day, always full of nerves. There's a long away trip, isn't there, for Barrow on the final day. They go to Exeter in that game. Over 300 miles down the motorway for that one. 600-mile round trip. It's almost 200 miles south for Harrogate. They go all the way down to the Cotswolds to play Cheltenham on the final day. Bolton travel to Crawley, and if Southend or Tranmere are close to an immediate return to League One, they have home games to end the season against Newport and Colchester, respectively. Now, all 3 leagues are scheduled to finish on May the 8th.
Let's get more from League One then. Wigan were relegated after losing their appeal against a 12-point deduction for going into administration. So this is what their first 6 matches look like, starting with a trip to Ipswich before Gillingham. Then beaten playoff semi-finalist Portsmouth welcome Wigan at the end of the month. Then in October, it is home to Doncaster, away at Crewe and away at relegated Charlton. Well, as for Charlton, they start with an away fixture at Crewe. Then it's Doncaster, Lincoln, Sunderland, Ipswich and home to fellow relegation side Wigan. Hull take on Gillingham in their first game back in League One, and then they face 3 of the newly promoted sides, so Crewe, Northampton, Plymouth, before heading to playoff semi-finalists Fleetwood and then Rochdale. As for Sunderland, well, the club remains up for sale, but on the pitch, they finished just a point outside of the playoffs. First up for them is Bristol Rovers, and then the playoff finalists Oxford away, Peterborough, Charlton, Blackpool and Swindon, League Two champions, of course. What a day this is, though, for Harrogate fans. They are in the Football League for the first time in their history.
And they begin at Southend. What a day it is for Harrogate. They start the season playing at Doncaster Stadium. They've got to upgrade their 3G pitch. Their first home game is against Walsall. Then it's games against Port Vale, Bolton, Bradford. And then look at that one, October the 17th, Barrow for them. Now, speaking of Barrow, they have been in the Football League before, but not for 48 years. That's all changed, though, this season. They are there. They're promoted from the National League along with Harrogate, and they open up against Stevenage. Their first 6 matches also include games against Newport, Colchester, somewhat local affair with Carlisle, then a home game against Leyton Orient, and then, of course, as we highlighted, Harrogate as well. Now, the last match Bournemouth played in the Championship, they were lifting the title. Can they do the same this season? We're going to be speaking live to a man who was part of that squad, Simon Francis. That's on the way next.
People don't have the time to be able to take a moment, just a moment. We've got to stay on this because otherwise it will never change.
It is fixtures day for the EFL. Let's have a little recap of the opening weekend games throughout those three leagues. Bournemouth begin life after Eddie Howe at home to Blackburn on the opening weekend of the season. We've got Barnsley taking on Luton. Brentford go to Birmingham. Dean Holden starts his head coach tenure with Bristol City at home to newly promoted Coventry. We've got Cardiff hosting Sheffield Wednesday and Derby taking on Reading now after getting relegated from the Premier League. As you can see, Norwich open up against Huddersfield, Millwall against Stoke, Preston host Swansea. Mark Warburton will be up against his old club as QPR face Nottingham Forest. Watford begin at home to Neil Warnock's Middlesbrough, and Wickham start life in the second tier. They are at home to fellow promoted Rotherham. Let's go to League One because Peterborough travel to Accrington, relegated Charlton are away to promoted Crewe. Doncaster take on the MK Dons after losing to Wickham in the playoff semi-finals. Fleetwood are at home to Burton. Hull are away to Gillingham in their first game back in League One after a 15-year absence. Another relegated club, Wigan, they face a trip to Ipswich. Playoff finalists Oxford line up against Lincoln. Northampton, who beat Exeter in League Two playoff final, they face AFC Wimbledon. Another promoted team, Plymouth, they're at home to Blackpool. Playoff semi-finalists Portsmouth face Shrewsbury, and Sunderland, they are home to Bristol Rovers. While League Two champions Swindon take on Rochdale. In League Two, how about this? Harrogate's first ever Football League fixture will be at Southend. We're going to be live with Harrogate later this morning. Now, Barrow haven't been in the league for 48 years. They start at home to Stevenage. Elsewhere, Bolton start against Forest Green. Bradford take on Colchester. Cambridge host Carlisle, and Cheltenham take on Morecambe. Mansfield host Tranmere. Elsewhere, Leyton Orient, they go to Oldham. It's Port Vale against Crawley. Salford host Exeter. Scunthorpe take on Newport. Walsall are at home to Grimsby. Now, all three leagues start the weekend of September the 12th.
Bournemouth are back in the Championship for the first time in 5 years following their relegation last season, and with a new manager at the helm in Jason Tindall. So they begin their campaign at home to Blackburn before travelling to Middlesbrough. Bournemouth also will have games against Norwich, Coventry, QPR and Cardiff in their first 6 matches. And we can now hear from the former captain Simon Francis. Great to see you, Simon. Thanks for joining us this morning. What did you make of Bournemouth's opening fixtures?
Well, that's the Championship for you, isn't it? Tough games, the first 3 I'm looking at, and Blackburn at home, who've played some good football the last couple of seasons under Tony Mowbray, and then Middlesbrough away. Such a tough place to go, certainly, under Neil Warnock now. And then Norwich at home, who are obviously going to be favourites again to be promoted. I think they've looked like the squad is going to be staying there intact this season. So it's going to be a tough start to the Championship season, but excited to see it going.
And Simon, were you disappointed that you didn't get offered a new contract, or was it to be expected following Bournemouth's relegation?
Of course it was disappointment, yeah, on my part. I wanted to finish my playing career at Bournemouth. There's no denying that. But I don't have any regrets about how it happened. Of course, I love my time there. Nothing but positive memories to look back on. And I'm looking forward to the next chapter now, whether that is playing over the next couple of weeks or months, looking what's out there, or maybe looking to work with the football club in the future as well. So I'm excited about the future, but of course disappointed with the way it turned out.
And this is the first time in 17 years that you haven't put yourself through pre-season training. Has that been a strange feeling for you?
It has been strange, yeah, but I can't say I've missed it. That's the honest truth. I spoke to some of the lads yesterday after their first day back of fitness testing, and it was the dreaded 1600 metre run, which it's a tough one. The past 5 or 6 years we've done it, and you're running at your maximum for 5 minutes, and the lads are on their knees or on their backs afterwards. So it's definitely something I haven't missed. The biggest thing for me will be the camaraderie and the team spirit within the change room that you miss day to day. That's certainly one of the high points of being in and around it in the dressing room. But no, the fitness side of it, the pre-season side, I've done so many years of it, I certainly haven't missed that.
And Simon, as you mentioned, you're a free agent at the moment. Have you had any interest from clubs? And also, have you thought about moving into coaching, perhaps?
I'm not sure what the future holds, to be honest, Bella. Of course, there'll be a little bit of interest. It is quiet at the moment. I expected that. My agent mentioned that the window doesn't shut till October, so things might be slow now, but obviously they might build up. But it's a long time away, October. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to try and maintain my fitness, get my knee back to the level that I need it to be able to run and play football if an opportunity arises. If not, then I'll have to look away from football and think about retirement. But at the moment, I'm still feeling fit enough to give it another go, so we'll see what's out there over the next couple of weeks.
And for Bournemouth, they're preparing for their campaign without Eddie Howe. That's for the first time in 8 years. And of course, his assistant, Jason Tindall, is taking over. But was it important to have that consistency?
I think so. I think it was the right man at the right time for the job in Jason Tindall, certainly. It's such a short turnaround from when we got relegated to the Championship season starting. It's not like a normal pre-season. It's not like the normal time off the players have had. And who better to get the squad going again, who knows the squad, who knows our philosophy and the history of the football club. A new manager would have had to take time to get to know the players, those kind of things. And when we know the Championship, Jason's been assistant in that league. He knows what it's going to be like. He knows how tough it's going to be. To get the players on side and get their mentality right, I don't think there's a better man at the moment than Jason.
Simon, do you think it's going to be difficult to hold on to some of the top players like Callum Wilson, Josh King?
Yes, I think it will be, regrettably to say that, but ultimately if we can keep hold of our best players, then it gives ourselves the best chance to get promoted again back to the Championship. That could be the carrot for the players who are looking to play Premier League football. We know that, and sometimes you can't deny players who want to play at the highest level. That goes without saying. They want to be internationals, they want to be playing at big football clubs, and off the back of relegation, you wouldn't expect any different for our top players. But keeping them, I think, is even more important. It's going to be a tough Championship season. We need to keep our squad together because the ability in there is certainly good enough to get promoted, but it's that mindset, if we can have the focus and motivation to get back up there, that's going to be key.
Yeah, and that brings me on to Aaron Ramsdale, who of course has been sold to Sheffield United. How much of a blow was that, or do you consider it to be good business?
Well, I think it's a blow, certainly. I mean, you're probably asking the wrong person if I think it's good business or not. That's not my forte, but I think it is a blow because of how good Ramos was last season for us. He excelled, he was the player of the season. I think his loan spell at Wimbledon, he'll tell you, did him a word of good to go out there and play football, to get in amongst it in the dressing room, and he came back a different man. He really did, and he was ready to hit the ground running for us, and he proved that last season. So, again, it comes with relegation. There's going to be interest in your top players, and Nathan was the first to go to Man City, fully deserved for him. And Ramos was next. I look forward to seeing him play in the Premier League. He's certainly got the quality, and he'll want to push himself to be England's number one. So it's hard to stand in the way of players like Ramos when he has that interest, and I just wish him all the best.
Are you hopeful that Jason Tindall will be given money to reinvest in the squad? Again, I mean, it's kind of out of my hands to be saying things like that, but I think with players being sold and Nathan and Ramos, there's certainly going to be money there to reinvest, of course. The fans will look to be wanting to see players coming into the football club, but I have said it before, if we can keep older players, that is more important, I think, than signing players. We've got a great squad there. The ability is Premier League, there's no doubt about that. I know we were relegated with that squad, but I look around it and it's as strong a squad as I've seen at Bournemouth for a long time. So the ability is there, the quality is there. I think looking to keep hold of our best players will be as important, if not more important, than signing new players, to be honest. And just finally, before we let you go, Simon, I wanted to mention Eddie Howe, and he's obviously taking a break from football at the moment. When he returns, would you like to see him back with a big Premier League club? start. They kick off their season away at Huddersfield before taking on Preston at Carrow Road. It's then Bournemouth away, Derby, Rotherham and Birmingham in their first 6 games. We are going to be live throughout the morning to Championship, League One and League Two clubs. And if you want to see your club's fixtures right now, just head over to the website at skysports.com. Nothing like a derby to get the juices flowing, is there? Next, we pick out the key derby dates in the Championship.